Chapter 13. The Vanishing Breed of Knights Without Armor. Little more than an hour's train ride from Tokyo in drowsy little Noda City, along the backwaters of the Bozo Peninsula, lives one of the more interesting men of Japan. He is Yoshiaki Hatsumi, a modern-day ninja who is keeping alive the teachings of ninjutsu. Hatsumi lays claim to being the 34th successor to the Togakure school of ninjutsu in a direct line of master-student relationships that stretch back over a 700-year period. He studied ninjutsu for 10 years under the tutelage of Grandmaster Toshitsugu Takamatsu, who at the age of 82 still lives in Kyoto. Considered one of his country's leading experts on the subject, Hatsumi is one of only a small handful of ninja specialists left who is struggling to keep ninjutsu from becoming a lost art. That there are a few such men as Hatsumi around at this late date is surprising in itself. He would seem to be a man who, through some oversight of fate, came along too late. After talking with him, one gets the feeling that he would be much more in his element 400 years ago, scaling castle walls under the unsuspecting eyes of the guards, or engaging in some other feats of daring do. Madison Avenue Spies. Instead, Hatsumi is a man of the 20th century, a time when the romantic adventures of individual undercover agents are largely eclipsed by the massive and organized efforts of teams of scholarly espionage agents who sit at desks in large office buildings poring over documents to get their information. They have never sneaked into an enemy camp in their lives. A graduate of Meiji University Medical School and now in his middle 30s, Hatsumi works out regularly at his ninjutsu dojo to stay in top physical condition. Eating unpolished rice, soybean paste soup, and other plant protein also keeps him in trim and gives him plenty of stamina. He doesn't smoke or drink. He also takes a cold shower every morning and exercises vigorously before practice at his dojo. Like ninja of old, he walks on ice with wooden clogs every chance he gets to attain perfect waist balance and to learn to walk in silence. It was much more exciting in the days when the ninja flourished, however. Hatsumi, for instance, makes his living in the distinctly unromantic profession of setting broken bones. But if things aren't quite so peppy as they used to be, Hatsumi and his fellow ninja of today are at least able to make a decent living. Today's few remaining masters of the art have been able to supplement their incomes by writing books on ninjutsu and acting as consultants to the television serials and movies that have flourished as part of the ninja craze that has swept Japan the past few years. During the height of the ninja fad, a ninja museum where ninja relics are shown to the public was set up in Igo Ueno. Foreign tourists have even stopped there and watched ninja expert Shichiro Okuse, who is also mayor of the city, demonstrate typical ninja techniques such as climbing the walls of the nearby Hakuo Castle. The museum is designed like a typical ninja house, which was invariably disguised as a farmhouse. Such houses were full of trapdoors, secret sliding panels, escape tunnels, etc. Today, the city of Iga Ueno, the former center of Iga ninja activities, is a city of 60,000 persons, specializing in the production of string for kimono obi and fish breeding. A lot of pictures. This is the Vanishing breed still, yeah. Southwest of Osaka along the inland sea in the city of Himeji stands the stately Himeji Castle. Once a stronghold of ninjutsu training during feudal times, it is preserved today as a national monument. The remarkable 72-year-old farmer who used homemade water shoes for crossing the 3-mile-wide Akashi Strait a few years ago quite possibly learned how to make and use this device from neighboring ninja descendants. But the youth who was caught trying to sneak into the old imperial palace in Kyoto undoubtedly learned his ninja know-how from seeing movies and reading magazines. In fact, he told police that he was crazy about the ninja exploits depicted in films and had for a long time wanted to become a ninja himself. Stories of ninja exploits are usually based on fact, but the details are often only the imagination of the writer or raconteur. Now that new attention has been focused on ninjutsu, fanciful ninja tales have sprung up everywhere, such as those by Futaro Yamada. This Japanese novelist concentrates exclusively on sex-angled stories of kunoichi, or female ninja, to a point where the reader might be led to believe that most of the feudal age secret agents were women. Actually, female ninja usually appeared on the periphery of ninjutsu activities. Flying ninja. Ninja adventure stories for boys in the past few years have also been exaggerated out of all proportion to the truth. For example, they tell of flying ninja with skin and bamboo wings strapped on their backs being hurled into the air by the snapback from rubbery trees or bamboo stalks lashed together. Other stories depict ninja soaring aloft on huge two-man kites made of oil-coated paper and bamboo. When the kite drifted over an enemy castle, the ninja tossed down small hand explosives. The kites were controlled by not one, but many strings and were equipped with blades to cut the strings of enemy kites. These boys' books would have the reader believe that ninja assaulted castle walls, not with ordinary ladders, but with unique scaling ladders shaped like an X and erected atop large framework towers. With ninja clinging to each of the four sections, the X-like ladder revolved much as a windmill turned. As each section swept down past the top of the castle wall, the ninja would leap down, swords in hand, on their enemies. Another siege device, similar to one that was actually used by Hideyoshi Toyotomi in his invasion of Korea, was a battering ram, consisting of a huge beam sharpened on the business end and set up on wheels. It was pulled back and then suddenly released so that it would smash against the enemy's gate and break it. Sometimes a massive rock was used. Suspended by rope from an overhead crossbeam, the rock was hauled back and then let go to slam against the gate. One of the most original devices was a kind of tank which, if it had been employed by ninja, would have been extremely effective. Two giant wooden wheels with iron rims were set up on either side of a fortified wooden section at the center, which was hung loosely on the axle so that it didn't turn around with the wheels. This center section had room for 4 ninja, 2 bowmen in the open part at the top, and 2 ninja with guns projecting through slits in the middle. Some experts claim that a contraption like this was actually used when the Allied army, which the ninja was fighting for, held the high ground. The wheeled devices were rolled down the hill pell-mell, with the ninja blazing away and the tank running down anyone who stood in the way. Human cannonballs. An incredible aerial maneuver was designed to shoot ninja out of such powerful cannons that the blast would send them sailing over the enemy position until they made a soft landing on the other side by parachuting down with their capes. Of course, while they flew over enemy territory, they dropped grenades and devices filled with explosive powder. Although ninja have been known to break their fall from a great height with their capes, it seems to be stretching things a bit to say that they performed like human cannonballs, sailing over several hundreds of yards and landing without injury. See, that was the confusing part. They're talking about what happens in the movies in the same voice that they're talking about how the ninja actually did it, and it makes it sound like they, anyways. Ninja were also busy aquatic agents. Long before Captain Nemo came up with his Nautilus in Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, ninja were supposed to have used wooden paddle wheel submarines. They were weighted to sink beneath the waves, and when ready to rise to the surface again, the weights were simply removed. While unseen underwater, the submarines disgorged a ninja clad like feudal age frogmen, forerunners of the scuba agents in the James Bond thriller Thunderball. Wearing rudimentary goggles and carrying waterproof explosives, the ninja would swim over to attack enemy ships in the harbor or the ocean area in which they were operating. Famed ninja leader Hanzo Hattori was said to have built a special ship that, instead of using a paddle wheel, was equipped with a huge circular blade with sharp saw teeth. When a submarine was detected, Hattori's ship streaked to the spot and sliced up the ninja enemy's wooden sub with its whirring sea buzz saw. Wow. Of course, not all of these ninja adventure stories for boys should be taken at face value, but here and there they do provide a clue to the way the inventive ninja operated. Moreover, some of these fantastic devices were not completely beyond the realm of possibility, such as the battering ram and the windmill scaling device. These uncanny characters regarded nothing as impossible, but not only used whatever was at hand to carry out their missions, but were remarkably ingenious in coming up with the most surprising stratagems and tactics, as well as the most incredible weapons and special devices. Heishi Chiro Okuse, the mayor of Iga Ueno, is probably the foremost authority in ninjutsu in Japan today. A scholar and historian, he's the author of 4 books on the subject. In one book, he deals with 160 ninjutsu patterns and their application to present day life, especially in regard to the competitive situations. This includes the determination to win the victory without fail, regarding nothing as impossible, psychologically sizing up an opponent and accurately predicting his future course of action in various life situations. Okuse's book on the secret thoughts of ninjutsu put into the print the type of things that formerly were passed down only by word of mouth from father to son, master to student. He points out that the ninja applied brain power scientifically to every problem he encountered. For instance, Okuse relates how one ninja accurately noted his enemy's daily habits and saw that he was fond of strolling in the garden and smelling his flowers. Otherwise, his enemy was too well protected for the ninja to expect any success in an assassination attempt. His solution, then, was to poison one of the flowers so that when the enemy made his usual rounds, he inhaled the poisonous scent and died shortly thereafter. Author, critic, and travel writer Jay Gluck tells another tale of ninja ingenuity in hiding two of his female relatives from an invading army during the War of the Imperial Restoration of 1867. When the enemy army seemed to be getting the upper hand, the ninja detached himself from the fighting and retreated long enough to get home to his 2 relatives, who were sure to fare ill if captured. The ninja, amazingly enough, made them vanish from the face of the earth, so that a whole rampaging army passed them by and never noticed them. It seems the ninja buried them both up to their noses in sunken manure pots out in the rice fields, and then plopped compost straw over their heads. A thin thread. One of the most daring and imaginative assassination attempts was made by famed ninja hero Goemon Ishikawa. After tremendous efforts, he succeeded in sneaking into the attic over the bedroom of the great samurai general Nobunaga Oda. After Nobunaga had retired for the night, Goemon made a small hole in the ceiling just above the general's head. Then noiselessly he lowered a thin thread until it hung suspended just above the lips of his sleeping victim. Taking out a vial of deadly liquid poison, the ninja sent the poison, drop by drop, down along the thread and into the mouth of Nobunaga. The light-sleeping general, ever alert for such attempts on his life, managed to awaken in time to prevent Goemon from succeeding with his diabolical trick. When ninja networks were later broken up and Goemon was forced to become a robber, Nobunaga's successor, Hideyoshi Toyotomi, captured the daring ninja and executed him by having him thrown into a cauldron of hot bubbling water. My God. One of the most remarkable stories of courage and cleverness of 2 famous ninja leaders, Sosuke Sarutobi and Hanzo Hattori, is recounted by ninja scholar Okuse. The former ninja was in the employ of Hideyori Toyotomi, Hideyoshi's son, while the latter was allied with General Ieyasu Tokugawa. Following the death of Hideyoshi in 1598, the 2 clans became deadly enemies in the bitter struggle for power. The Toyotomi forces sent Sasuke from their Osaka castle headquarters to the district controlled by the Tokugawa army, present-day Aichi Prefecture and Nagoya Castle, to find out if Tokugawa planned to attack them soon. Tokugawa's ninja bodyguards regularly searched the attics and under the corridors, but Sasuke slipped through the garden. The important meeting of Tokugawa and his aides was held in the general's private rooms, where plans were disclosed to go ahead and assault Toyotomi's castle in Osaka. After overhearing the plan, Sosuke started to leave. He climbed the wall safely, but when he jumped down the other side, his left foot got caught in a steel trap. Unable to extricate himself and fearful that the guards would soon find him, the courageous ninja cut off his left leg. He applied a tourniquet to stop the flow of blood, then tried to make good his escape. After dragging himself as far as possible and almost fainting from loss of blood, Sosuke Sarutobi finally committed harikiri. But strange to say, Sasuke continued to appear nightly in the Tokugawa castle, announcing himself and revealing that suicide was merely one of his secret techniques he used to escape from dangerous situations. And every night, this remarkable ninja Jonin slew a couple of guards. The news of these strange doings soon reached the Toyotomi clan, which was relieved to hear of Sasuke's amazing success, certain that sooner or later he would manage to assassinate General Tokugawa himself. The Toyotomi forces soon relaxed their guard in overconfidence. Firmly convinced that all was well, they were taken by complete surprise when Tokugawa's army attacked Osaka Castle a few days later and eventually overcame their resistance. It was only later that the nightly appearance of Sosuke Sarutobi was discovered to be a trick devised by Hanzo Hattori, who had disguised himself as his famed rival in order to create a false sense of confidence in the Toyotomi forces. Whether he actually killed some of his own guards to lend the charade a bit of authenticity or whether the reports of their deaths were merely falsified was never revealed. After the final defeat and surrender of the Toyotomi army, Hanzo continued to pass himself off as Sosuke Sarutobi in order to obtain information of the whereabouts of the remaining members of the enemy forces who managed to escape and hide out. Becoming a ninja in this day and age, however, is a real problem. Norihiro Iga Hakuyosai, the son of an Iga ninja practitioner, is unmarried, childless, and without relatives, an elusive loner. He refuses to divulge any information about himself and maintains no fixed address because, as he says, ninjas should always be on the move, never settle in one place, and keep themselves out of the limelight, claiming that a ninja should be like the shadow of a bushi. He has a sponsor because Otomo Saiji, sometimes called Japan's first ninja, operated under the patronage of Prince Shotoku from 593 to 622 AD as a special investigator. Iga Hakuyusai started his ninja training at the age of 6 under the tutelage of his father and during the war taught at Nakano Academy, the former military intelligence school. He notes that the character nin in ninja is made up of two parts, one meaning the spirit of man and the other meaning edge. It is this edge that should be stressed, he says, for a ninja must keep himself as sharp as a knife's edge. As a modern ninja, Iga Hakuyusai devotes his time to performing for Japanese school children around the country. Learning ninjutsu today as a student, in contrast to being born into an old ninja clan, takes many long years of intense study and dedication. Yoshiaki Hatsumi estimates it takes at least 10 years, the length of time he studied under Takamatsu, to master all the different weapons and techniques. Fudo Ryu includes jujitsu and ai nuki, or fast sword drawing techniques. Tegaki Yoshin Ryu takes in Jutai Jitsu, the third class, or school of techniques. Gyoku Ryu includes Yubi methods, use of thumb and finger. And Togakure Ryu, a 700-year-old school emphasizing ninja original ninja techniques. Sorry, this is painful for me too. Koto Ryu is centered around a technique called koppo, or bone breaking. The final school, Kuki Shin Ryu, is based on Bisinto, a type of fighting using a wide-bladed spear with the blade similar to that of a scimitar. Ninjutsu employs an awesome collection of weapons, but Hatsumi prefers unarmed self-defense techniques, with koppo his favorite. I am best at bone-breaking techniques that can kill with only one finger, he says. These techniques have something in common with karate, though there are differences. For example, blows are always made at 90-degree angles, straight down or straight across. Moreover, the blow is made with the open hand along the bone from the base of the little finger to the end of the palm, but the hand is kept closed in a fist while the arm is in motion, opening only at the instant of contact. Thumb power. Another set of techniques that he favors are those for yubi. Daily practice strengthens the thumbs and fingers to the point where they can be used to break rocks. Indeed, the thumb can be developed as a powerful weapon against the vital parts of the body, from the eyes to the stomach. Other ninja have different techniques they specialize in. One modern ninja from Tokyo, for example, who is not too worried about the niceties of the law, is Yumio Nawa. Now in his 50s, Nawa has been involved in ninjutsu for nearly 40 years. Perhaps Nawa's most outstanding modern ninja technique is one termed Manriki Kusari, or chain technique. Using a small length of chain less than 2 feet long, he has devised some 12 basic Manriki techniques, all of them defensive. The chain has 2 small, solid steel weights at each end, which the ninja uses to maintain his grip on the chain as well as for counter blows. If an attacker swings a right, the ninja first blocks the blow upward with the outstretched chain, then throws a loop around the arm with the steel block in his right hand. Counters with a blow under the arm. Another technique is to throw a loop around the attacker's right wrist and pull the other end of the chain around the right side of his neck, pinioning his arm under his own neck. Counter blows with one or both weights can be made against the vital parts of the body, such as temples, neck, solar plexus, etc. The chain can also be used to parry a kick and deliver a telling counterblow with the 2 weights against the shin before the foot hits its intended target. Nawa also knows some 40 techniques for tying up an enemy with a rope. Like the chain, these techniques can be applied very usefully today, especially in police and guard work, as well as militarily, than when tying up guerrilla prisoners, for instance. In fact, Nawa has passed on some of his more practical know-how to the police on several occasions. These techniques have largely been handed down from ninja days. Since the ninja were trained escape artists, special ways had to be devised to tie them up securely. One way was to have them clasp their hands together, then loop the cord around each individual finger before tying the hands together. Ninja often tried to develop their fingers so that their knuckles would not protrude, which would prevent effective tying off of the fingers. Ninja also tried to develop their wrists so that the wrist joint bone wouldn't project beyond the rest of the wrist, which would enable this ninja to slip the knot off without too much trouble. They would also roll about the floor or twist this way and that to loosen the knots. Seiko Fujita, who died at the age of 65, claimed to be a direct descendant of the Koga school of ninjutsu and the master-student relationship. He was quite vocal in urging Japanese Olympians to adopt ninja techniques for the games a year before the 1964 Tokyo Olympics were due to happen. Iron Fist. Before he died, Fujita gave many ninja demonstrations around the country, including one in which he beat his chest with a 27-pound iron bar. He claimed ninja could jump as high as 2.7 meters, which is 8 feet 9 inches, compared to the world record at that time of 2.22 meters, or 7 feet 3 inches. Noting that ninja trained night and day to attain their superhuman skills, Fujita said they could walk the 350 miles between Osaka and Tokyo in 3 days. Hatsumi, who has also studied judo, karate, and aikido, has found some of these modern martial arts techniques similar to ninjutsu methods and has incorporated some of them into his system. For example, if an attacker tries to throw him under his hip, he counters with a sharp blow from the thumb to the side or the kidney before tossing him to the ground. When an opponent attacks with a right arm blow, Hatsumi blocks it with his left and counters with his right in a koppo blow to break his opponent's right arm. He blocks a kick with a counter kick, then strikes an open fist blow with his left hand to his rival's ribs. Readies another blow from his right hand as the attacker falls. In one of the most unusual counters, Hatsumi will jump on his opponent, straddling his body with both legs, and attempt to crack a few ribs with a leg squeeze. He will then fall backward onto the ground and rock forward again, sending his rival onto his back. He clinches things by slamming a hard blow with his heel into his opponent's face. In a similar maneuver, he grabs his rival's midsection and falls backward, pulling him hard onto his head. Because of his training, Hatsumi has been honored by being the only ninja listed in Japan's official martial arts directory. Nonetheless, Hatsumi is still critical of government officials for what he feels is their lack of sufficient interest in ninjutsu. I regard ninjutsu as an intangible cultural asset, despite the indifference of the government, Hatsumi emphasizes. While conceding that ninjutsu is extremely dangerous, he believes it is good for self-defense as well as for training both the body and spirit. By learning ninjutsu, one comes to know how to foresee the future. One finally gets the eyes of God.